In today's episode of HR Visionaries, we talk to Stan about soft skills and why soft skills will be so important in a world of AI. Stay tuned. Welcome to HR Visionaries, the show where we discover the truth behind contemporary HR. I'm your host, Benjamin. Join me as I unfold today's talent ecosystem with HR innovators from around the globe. Welcome to the latest episode of HR Visionaries. I'm very much looking forward to my guest today, Stan. It's great to have you.
Thanks for having me, Benjamin. Likewise.
Then, can you tell us a bit about yourself? Who are you?
Well, I'm the entrepreneur, and I remember myself like doing business for more than 15 years, and currently I build startup in HR field. Before this, I worked in construction development company as a limited partner. So basically, I'm like I do love building new products, and work is like my hobby. So currently I live in Spain, traveling between United States and Spain, but mostly in Spain, and expanding my business in Europe and United States.
That's pretty cool. So, when did you start working in the HR field? What was the Kickstarter for you?
Oh, it's a funny story. So I always dreamed about global startup, IT startup, and working in a construction development company. As I have already mentioned, I decided to build my first startup, and it was a completely mess. So I thought that building something useful for me will be really useful for everyone around me, and we started to build like an app for challenges and for different trainings, and nothing worked. No one wanted to buy our platform or our app, to buy subscriptions, etc. And I just logged in into LinkedIn and decided to talk with people. What are the most important services in like personal development field? And thus, they led me to HR field, and I understood that HR is underestimated, and you can build actually a great product in this field. I dived in, started to develop myself, learning a lot of things about HR. What do they need? How current processes look like, and thus I just started to build our current startup.
You said something very interesting. So you said that HR is underappreciated, or the importance of HR is very often underestimated. Why do you think that is?
Well, basically, we are surrounded around. So we work with people, and people should be developed. They should grow, and most of them desire to grow, desire to earn more, to climb through the career ladder, etc. But HRs, these are the people who do a lot of work, but mostly they cannot prove it because when we are talking about KPIs, yearly KPIs, for example, if I'm a sales officer, I just can show to my CEO that I have achieved this sort of revenue, or if I'm responsible for production, I can show what we have produced in this year. But when we're talking about HR field, you can see the improvements, but you don't have numbers. And that is why sometimes it's really hard for HR to show his or her impact on business processes. And when I'm the CEO and I'm not experienced enough to understand the impact of human resources field, I just think that if they don't have numbers, maybe they haven't achieved significant results at the end of the year. And that's why many people state that we don't need to give budgets to HRs, or they spend a lot, they should spend less. we don't see the result, etc., etc. That's why I think, and I state that they are underestimated.
So I think it's a very important, well, problem or challenge in the HR space that, well, HR very often doesn't speak the language of the business. So very often, so one can, when escalating, well, a CEO speaks sometimes a different language, or very often, unfortunately, very different language to the people department compared to the people department, since well, they are talking mostly euros or dollars, while they may not be so interested in the latest engagement survey. However, they are interested in latest sales numbers, because they can read into those sales numbers something that's very obviously relevant to the business, rather than, well, an engagement survey, for example. That's not that tangible, right?
Yeah, you cannot measure it sometimes. And when we are talking about CEOs, you're always interested in return on investments, and you're interested in revenue growth year over year. But when HR states that you need to invest in culture, you need to invest in people development, CEO always wants to ask, how much will it bring me? How much will they earn investing in this? And it's like, you go to the college or to the university, you don't know how much will you earn like graduating from the university, but you definitely understand that it will bring you invest in yourself. But it's not like a business. So when you invest in yourself, you don't know the impact, but you know there will be impact. When you decide where to spend your budget, you want to spend it to the direction where you see how much it will return to you. That's why it's really difficult for HRs to get more money, or just to get money invested, as I have already said, into culture like this.
I think we're at a very interesting point here, right? So where we all believe that, in particular, well, thanks to AI, people critical thinking will be much more relevant going forward. And then at the same time, HR still having difficulties, well, expressing why they are so important and what their role in the company is. So how do you think HR can change that?
Well, thanks to AI, for example, AI can provide you more analytics, more numbers. And I think that adopting and implementing solutions based on AI, especially when they can provide you more numbers, it's crucial for HRs right now. The more they invest in bringing these products to the company, the bigger budgets they can get later, because these numbers can show that there are significant improvements. Like, for example, person had gone through better way of adoption, or through online learning in another way, and here are the numbers. Here's what has been improved, and AI can show it working with big data. So big data can help you to show what things have been improved. And if HRs will start investing their time in understanding how these products can help them to prove their impact, then some things will be changed, definitely.
What numbers do you think are the most important ones for the people department to present to the CEO? So I always have a situation in mind where, well, if I were a CEO, what do you worry about? You have a certain amount of time every day to allocate to different departments. What do you, well, what do you focus on? Very much depends on what you can then, well, use to talk to your board, to talk to your shareholders, that my pay as a CEO should increase. So what are the numbers you think HR should communicate to the CEO in terms of how can I make his life better? How can I make sure that he earns more money, which he definitely deserves?
Well, we can start from the beginning. So first of all, you need to hire a person. Then you need to onboard and adopt him. Then you need to work on his development. And of course, there is a turnover. Yeah. So people change places of their work. You get new hires, etc. So the easiest way, and maybe you don't even need to use AI for this, you need to show how your speed of adoption and onboarding has been improved, or how fast do you hire new people. The biggest problems come when you are talking about personal development of each employee. And here you should measure the impact of trainings, measure, again, let's come back, measure the impact of adoption. So if you know, there is a statement that it takes around 3 months to adopt any new hire, and his efficiency in these first 3 months is 30% lower. So, for example, if it takes you around 3 months to adopt someone, and if any platform helps you to increase adoption rate like by 3 times, then having a salary of 5K per month, let's talk about developer, I mean, in IT sphere, the company can save around 3K in 3 months on each person, just increasing adoption speed from 3 months to 1 month. And measuring these values will help HR to show how much they save for the company and how faster the new hire will bring the value to the company on a full capacity like this. And we can talk about personal development. So when everyone talks about personal growth, etc., but when we are talking about frontline workers, about mid-sized managers, they don't mainly care about soft skills development. You need just to get them do their job in a best way, and developing them with hard skills is crucial. So if it takes around 3 months or 4 months to learn new skills, hard skills, I mean, and you shorten this time, then you bring a huge impact for the company. And many, like you have currently solutions which can prove that you've increased the speed of adoption, the speed of personal development when we're talking about hard skills.
So the euro or dollar number is key in that kind of discussion then.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's a bit of a struggle, right, to find the right number, since one can, of course, challenge all the premises, right? So like in terms of, well, 5K, okay, that makes perfect sense. So I can look up the salary. However, the measurement of how efficiency increases is quite often not that trivial. So how do you think can efficiency be measured best?
Well, the best question, actually, Benjamin, because I think that the HR platform, which will find these best numbers to show, will be a winner on the market. Yeah, so it works like this. In our case, for example, we have an HR platform, yeah, and we have around 50 numbers which we provide to HRs, and they can choose. So we measure how people go through online learning in the beginning, so like when they are hired, and then we measure what things have been changed in 3 months or in 6 months, etc., etc., and we just combine them and measure the difference between them, and and we see that HRs do use these numbers, and we see that they create reports based on these numbers. So the changes in each person is the most important numbers, and we measure the speed of learning, the length of answers, the desire to go through another course, completion rates, how completion rates have been changed, and we try to generate like big reports with these numbers, and we see that they just download them, they maybe print them and bring to the sales table.
So when you first started measuring, what were the most interesting findings?
The completion rate of mandatory courses is almost 100%. That's the most important.
Fair enough, right?
And the completion rate of optional courses is around 10%. Yeah, that's the biggest like findings we can give. Actually,
But sorry, but why is that, right? So so optional courses are probably not offered because they are irrelevant. But why why does HR think, okay, well, those courses make sense. We make them optional, however, and employees consider them as meaningless 90% of the time. Why is that?
It's the answer is easy. They're not individual adopted. So, for example, you have 100 people, and you give them like critical thinking course. It's the same course for everyone, but it doesn't work like this. And the AI gives opportunity just to adopt course for your specific needs. And that's what our platform actually started to do like half a year ago. And we see that we've increased the completion rate up to 30% right now for like optional courses, because we know your behavior on our platform. We know what content you like more, you like to read or watch video, you like this sort of tasks or you don't like these tasks, and we adopt each course for each person. That's the first thing. And the second thing is that, for example, if you have launched course on our platform, based on first 100 learners, we know where the problem with the completion rate starts. And for example, we know that if you have answered correctly on the first and second question, and you have answered, you have missed the third question, then probably you will finish going through the course on the second chapter. And we try to change tasks in place. We try to change some wordings, etc., just to increase your timeline within this course. And actually it started to work. And I hope that at the end of the year, we'll have an average completion rate of 40% for non-mandatory courses. It will be really huge. It's huge number.
Yeah, it's actually quite remarkable, right? So when I think everyone knows these situations where, okay, you have so many things on your mind and so many tasks to complete that one very often ignores courses, despite it's actually quite good content, right? So I rarely completed a course and then afterwards thought, okay, well, it was complete waste of my time, but it was actually like a great impulse, even if it's not like amazing overall. There are always important impulses, and some of those ideas you benefit from for decades, right? And therefore, I always find it interesting that one tends to ignore courses, as you said, that are optional, that are not mandatory, and it's yeah, I think actually great if one can can work on solutions to increase the participation rate for those optional courses.
Yeah, you're right. But you should also take into account that if you're talking about personal development, you don't see the impact the next day. And for
True.
you, it's really hard to invest your time, especially after the day of work, to work on your personal development. Only people who like to achieve, only people who see the path and the end point where they're heading to, they can work on personal development effectively. So when we are talking about online education, you need to implement more cases to go through. You need to show, like I need to show you, Benjamin, how to use the knowledge we have given to you the same day. Only this can help for now, I guess. And that's what happens when you, when you buy courses in the internet and everyone goes through the same text or through the same content, they cannot put it into their daily routine, and they cannot understand why should they read through it, or why should they learn it.
Well, when you recall situations where you in courses, what were your highlights? So stuff you remember that you considered okayish back then, but really valuable nowadays. So I definitely remember situations for myself where well, decades ago, I was actually made to participate in those courses. However, in the end, those trainings turned out to be incredibly useful. So, for example, what I still love is the one who asks the questions leads the conversation, and it's like super trivial, but it well, it requires you to completely think a different way. So like, okay, you're providing arguments over argument. However, you don't ask a question. Then you're not in a situation where you lead the conversation. However, to recognize this and to realize, okay, that's perfectly right. It's completely counterintuitive. So I try to convince someone, I don't know, to buy something or to follow my argument. Well, to lead the conversation, I need to ask questions. It's not about providing arguments, providing answers, providing facts. It's about asking questions. So that for me is one of those courses I participated in that it took me a while to understand how true this is. And well, that for me is like one of those pivotal moments I still remember. What about you?
Well, by the way, I would like to say that it's a great insight. I do like courses about...
In German, it's actually quite a cool saying. So one can't literally translate it to English, but it means a bit like, okay, the one who asks leads. And well, in German, it makes kind of sense and it sounds quite well, but in English, it doesn't sound too well. But I think what I'm trying to say, I can get through anyhow. So sorry to interrupt you.
No, for me, okay, the biggest insight, I always do like courses. I always do go through the courses about sales, negotiation skills, persuasion skills, etc. And I like the statement about ZOPA, zone of possible agreement. And for me, this is the biggest insight, that you always should find zone of possible agreement with with another person you try to negotiate. And I understood it. I always use it, and it helps me a lot. But there are actually a lot of insights, but sometimes you just don't, you cannot put it in your daily life, these insights, and that's why you think they're meaningless. For example, we are now in a really huge acceleration program, and we have great mentors, great advisors. They all from like best companies in the United States, and they teach us how to sell, how to develop the product, etc. And I see other founders, they don't listen to them. They think that they have already built something great and only they know how to do it in the best way. And they have paid for this program. So they have given share of their companies for this for participation, but they don't like to listen for these people. And it's offline program. What can we say about if it's online and if they're optional courses? In our case, people have given between 5 and 6% of their company's shares. And even in this case, they don't like to listen for the best mentors ever. That's a problem. Because they cannot put it like they think that, okay, if I have a B2C product and you're talking about B2B, then I don't need to listen about it. Or for example, if you teach me how to sell for enterprises and I sell for SMBs, I don't need to listen to you. And when we are talking about education, I mean, online, that's the same case. So if you don't see that it can bring you impact tomorrow, and if you cannot see the case where you can use it, you just stop learning. That's it.
Well, it's self-development and learning. It's well, when it comes to online content, I always find that, well, there are some people who are super motivated and who are super eager, and nowadays it's amazing what's available to you to improve yourself. And then there are other people who are very reluctant and who don't make use of those opportunities. How do you think one can stop people from overdoing it in terms of like, okay, so being occupied all the time with self-development and do not focus on their actual task? Maybe some of those people need to be stopped and calmed down a bit, and then other people need to be fired up and should realize what kind of amazing opportunities there are.
Well, actually, I can try to answer it in another way. I have a funny story for you. So,
I love funny stories.
Our platform generates courses and trainings, and we decided to make one huge marketing move. We have grabbed a lot of information by Y Combinator. It's like a acceleration program with the best acceleration program in the world, and they have a lot of videos and information how to build startups, how to build marketing funnels, etc., etc. And we have uploaded into our platform. And we have generated a really cool course and posted in LinkedIn. And there were a lot of likes and a lot of registrations into this course. And we started to notice that some people started to write down in LinkedIn, post in LinkedIn, stating that they are proud to announce that they have finished the course by Y Combinator on Evolve platform, etc. And we logged into our platform, and we have found out that these people only started to go through this course, but they haven't finished it. But they posted that they're proud to finish. Why do you think these people decided to post it? Benjamin, do you have an answer?
I have no idea. Tell me.
Because they need confession. They want to tell everyone that they spend a lot of time on self-development. And when you're talking about people that try to spend their all free time for personal development, I think that half of them, they want to tell everyone else that they spend a lot of time on personal development. And there are only 10 or 20% of people who do it to grow, to achieve new results, etc. If you spend a lot of time in personal development, you don't need to tell everyone about this. You just spend it and you
Indeed.
just achieve new results. That's what it's all about. I hope I answered your question in another way.
No, I like that story a lot because it's one can see, in particular on LinkedIn these days, that many people put certifications, and sometimes you're wondering, okay, this certification people put, it's like, okay, it's a certification in I don't know, certain prompt engineering, and you're wondering, okay, so with the next update of OpenAI, this maybe not that relevant anymore. And then there are other self-improvement courses, which I think are, I personally believe are super relevant. And what I'm therefore wondering what you think about this. I do personally believe that in the world of AI, it is much more about conduct. It's much more about self-improvement in terms of stuff like critical thinking, rather than technical skills that are relevant for the future. And yeah, wondering what you think about this.
I think that I don't like people posting about new certificates, etc. I would rather like to see that, for example, my friend has posted some sort of things like, I have decreased turnover by 10% in my company in 1 year. And that's the achievement. Oh my God. So, or I've increased revenue by 40% year over year. And I do understand that this guy works a lot and he spends a lot of time on personal development because he has brought huge results to his employer, sorry. Yeah, and I don't care about certifications, and I never post about something like this. The only thing I have posted is that I have received MBA certificate, but it was like important to get the salary increase highly. Yeah, but that's the only thing. And I don't like to post like strange general achievements, because, for example, get the second stage of fundraising is a great achievement, or increase revenue each month by 10%, it's a great achievement, or like, I don't know, but not the certification. Yeah, so that's what I'm thinking about it, Benjamin.
What do you think people should focus on right now in May, or let's say in spring of 2025? What is, in terms of self-improvement, in terms of teaching yourself, what is your advice?
I have the same advice each month and each year. So the only thing you can have, and the AI will not replace it, are the soft skills. And the hugest impact in your life can bring the soft skills about people. So like, again, negotiation, leadership, and this sort of soft skills. And you should always focus on developing the skills, and you should always focus on implementing the skills in your daily life. It helped me a lot. Thanks to my father, he started to force me learning about soft skills when I was 10 years old, and I'm still developing myself every day, and I see the huge impact right now. And I don't understand people who just save money and invest them into shares or like in the cryptocurrency, doesn't matter. And they invest them, understanding that they can take this money back in next 10 years. but they do not invest in soft skills development with the same approach.
Then I have one last question for you. Since we are an HR tech podcast, I'm of course interested in the following. So what are your favorite interview questions when you interview people for your company, for your team?
What will be changed in your daily work when you will be hired in our company? So what sort how will you change your approach when you will come to our company? That's the biggest question I'm interested in. That's
cool. Yeah, I love the creativity around this. So I've heard so many different answers, and yeah, it's always amazing to learn about that. And perhaps I should one day write a book with like the best special interview questions on planet Earth. So that could be like my next projects, perhaps. Cool.
Yeah, I would like. So I don't know if you have read the book by Ben Horowitz, "The Hard Thing About Hard Things." Have you heard about it? No?
Yeah, I've heard about it, but I haven't read the book unfortunately yet. So.
This is I don't have time to read a lot, but I have read this book for 3 times, and he provides a really big amount of insights about HR, how to hire people, how to fire people, how to talk with people. It's really useful, and the important thing is that he always shows the examples based on his working experience or on life cases. And I do love this book a lot.
And definitely put this in our show notes. Stan, thank you so much for your time. It was a great pleasure talking to you and learning about, well, how to self-improve, well, thanks to technology.
Thank you, Benjamin.
And thank you guys for listening in, and see you next time.